Welcome back to the Great British Breakfast. Good to have you with us this morning. We're going to talk about Army veteran life after the Army, rather, because making the transition from the armed forces to civilian life, it isn't always smooth. A heavily structured lifestyle, which for many involved fighting on the front line, can make switching back to ordinary, or civvy life as they call it, difficult.
But it does also mean that ex-forces personnel often have valuable skills which can make them exceptional in a commercial environment. John Hoyle was a captain in the British Army, leading a platoon of Scots Guardsmen in Iraq and Germany before returning to do ceremonial duties at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. After leaving the Army, he spotted an opportunity to address the decline of the high street and founded the digital store Souk. Well, on Friday, he only went and won Innovator of the Year at the Ex-Forces in Business Awards. That's the world's biggest celebration of ex-military in second careers at the O2 Arena. And we're delighted to say that John joins us in the studio this morning. John, very good morning to you. Thank you for coming in to speak to us.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on your award. How does it feel?
Oh, well, it's brilliant to be recognised by the Army. I'm really proud of that service. And obviously it's great to promote this business that's changing the way we approach the high street.
So tell us what Souk is, Souk Spaces, and what inspired it and how you've turned this into like a really positive thing for a kind of, well, dying concept, the high street.
Yeah, I mean, I've moved into a sector that everyone thinks is over, but our belief is that physical space has a really bright future. Our high streets have got tons of empty assets that we think we can repurpose. My background post-Army is being a landlord, and the relationship between landlords and tenants has been a really challenging one for a long time. So what I've done is created a business that rents space by the hour. We rent time, not space, effectively. And it means that different people can use the same space at the right times of the week for whatever they need. Because let's face it, if you're selling, apparel or clothes, fashion retail, you don't need to shop on a Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday because no one's shopping. So with our model, they can be there on a Friday and a Saturday, and then it can be repurposed for the community, for amenity, for health, for event space, or whatever else.
So just to clarify, different retailers are using the same shop on different days of the week?
Yeah, we've created a device that allows an agile approach to retail. So you're not paying for 7 days a week, but you are achieving the same goals in a much shorter space of time.
How are you doing that?
So we have an amazing device, which is our fit out, that goes into each space. Yeah. It's completely digitally enabled, and using Canva, which is an Australian sort of Photoshop unicorn, you can deploy digital content to the walls. So it looks
a bit like this.
It looks just like
terms
this,
of
actually.
The store. Yeah.
It looks much cooler than that. You can put whatever content you want, and at the touch of a button, your shop looks fit for whatever purpose you want it for. So the Gen Z social media crew are loving us. Lots of influencers, lots of Depop sellers. We're also working with brands like Uber, MasterCard, Radley, which is a traditional high street store.
Yeah. So you're smashing it essentially, and you're getting you've got your stores now in really prominent places: Oxford Street, South Molton Street. But that's not saying you haven't been through a few challenges, because launching a startup during a lockdown when people aren't going out and about onto high streets anyway must have been difficult. Do you feel like the government's doing enough to support tech startups like yours and indeed to try and revive the high street?
Well, I mean, the first thing to say is, it's been a really challenging time. We've been shut for nearly 2 years of our existence. I'm really proud that, we're proving through, nearly £1 million of sales that in the worst retail environment in living memory, that this new model can work. Government support is always welcome. I mean, the one thing I would appeal to Rishi to do is address business rates. Yeah. They are a huge problem.
We hear this a lot
across the UK.
Yeah. And you won this award, or rather these awards that are given out. I was looking at it for strong synergies, these award ceremonies, strong synergies between military values and business excellence. What did you learn in the Army in serving that has served you well in business?
Oh, well, I think probably, I suppose, leadership. I mean, being an Army officer is about trusting people who are often way more experienced than you. You leave Sandhurst as an officer and you're in charge of 30 guys straight off the bat. The platoon sergeant of which is probably 15 years more experienced, tougher than you, has the respect of all of the guys. And a big part of leadership is knowing how to manage people like that, who are basically better than you and know when to pull them in when they're doing something that doesn't work. And that is exactly what startup-like is life, because I don't know everything, and I'm on a journey where I can only see so far. So you have to trust in people, make the right decisions at the right
So do you think that's right then, that people who come from the military have got a kind of unique ability to adapt and sort of, find opportunities where civilians like us, well, we're journalists, so I think we're kind of in the same kind of bracket when it comes to that. But do you think it has helped you transition out of the army into civilian life? And did you find that transition hard?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is hard.
Yeah.
You go from a very structured place to a completely... a place where no one really cares about what you've done. I mean, one of the things that always surprised and disappointed me, I came back from Iraq, no one cared. Life was going on as normal. I think veterans do feel undervalued, and the experience is undervalued. But and that's a shame, because there are these skills that we're describing that allow you to thrive within all sorts of environment and think slightly differently to people who've been through the mill of whatever profession.
Yeah, not just because of this. Yeah, but it's not just the value that you have with those skills to society. It's also the fact you made an enormous sacrifice and put your life on the line, and probably went through some pretty unpleasant experiences while serving in Iraq, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that sacrifice is unfortunately just irrelevant to commercial life, but it's something that allows you to have a perspective on the civilian world that I think is priceless, because I don't get upset and nervous about things, because in the perspective of what you do in somewhere like Iraq, it's just not that relevant.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Go on.
I was going to say, did you enjoy your time in the army?
I loved it. It was fantastic. I had a brilliant suite of the pride of leading a platoon war fighting in Iraq, even though I have major reservations about that. Let's call it misadventure in foreign policy. And I also got to do some fun things. It's great fun coming back from doing something like that and standing outside the palace and enjoying that very odd but really unique insight into British life.
Yeah, the ceremonial stuff, the sort of pomp and ceremony, which ultimately seduced your wife, impressed her enough, didn't it? She loved seeing you in your uniform.
Yeah,
was that with the hat on? Were you one of the...
With the bearskin.
One of the perks of ceremonial duties is that you can invite people to lunch or dinner in the palace, and there aren't many people I've met that say no to that, including my wife, and the rest was history.
That was the first date?
No, I think not the first.
I was going to say, do you fancy a drink? Whereabouts? Well, Buckingham. I know this nice place in West London.
Yeah, exactly.
It's quite swish, Buckingham Palace, yeah.
John Hoyle, founder of